All right, thank you so much, Allie. Well, breaking overnight, tariffs against China officially go into effect. An additional 10% tariff on all Chinese imports into the U.S. took effect at midnight.
And now China is responding with a 15% import tax on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas, plus 10% on crude oil, agricultural machinery, pickup trucks, and some sports cars. Those tariffs are set to go into effect next Monday. President Trump says that the Chinese tariffs are a response to trade deficits and the flow of fentanyl into the U.S.
But the trade tariffs against Mexico and Canada are now on hold.
25% tariffs against both countries were set to go into effect overnight, but last-minute talks held them off. And the deadline is now extended for 30 days.
The news of that deal with Canada comes after retailers in Vancouver already began removing American liquor from store shelves with a note to buy Canadian instead.
7 News Detroit reporter Brittany Tulis has been staying on top of these tariff talks and joins us live from downtown Detroit this morning. And Brittany, so many people are wondering what will happen next.
All day yesterday and still wondering that. All day Monday, though, people on both sides of the Detroit River here on pins and needles. People on the U.S. side concerned about how much groceries, manufacturing, and energy costs could rise. And on the Canadian side, bar owners feared the loss of business. People I talked with overnight say this temporary pause is only extending that tension another month.
Again, it's a waiting game. We just got to wait and see.
Waiting and watching is all Anthony Bowen says he can do for the next 30 days while the U.S. negotiates with Mexico and Canada on tariffs and stopping the flow of fentanyl into the country.
I don't know, you don't know, they don't know, we don't know, we just waiting. There's a lot of uncertainty.
For now, the tariffs are paused. The countries have come to an agreement. Mexico's president saying they'll reinforce the border with 10,000 National Guardsmen to help cut the drug flow. The U.S. also working to stop weapons from going into Mexico. Canada's agreement coming later Monday to the relief of Windsor Councilman Rolando Agostino.
A lot of concerns about the automotive industry, a lot of concerns about the Canadian dollar. A lot of people were very worried going into this.
Canada's agreement continues its $1.3 billion border plan, saying 10,000 troops are already working the border. A U.S.-Canada joint task force will be created addressing crime and fentanyl, and a fentanyl czar will be appointed.
If I'm in the business of fentanyl, you better believe it. Now's not the time, right? Now's not the time.
The notion that there's a fentanyl coming in from Canada, for example, it's less than 1% of the fentanyl that comes into the U.S. It's also true in terms of migrants.
Michigan's former governor Jim Blanchard saying the world is watching the U.S. for the next 30 days.
If we treat our closest and best friend this way, it does not bode well for our alliances around the world.
And people caught in the middle, anxiously waiting, because if the tariffs go into effect, they'll cost the average household $1,200 a year.
I just go to work every night. I come here, get my lunch, and then I go to work. And I still don't know how I'm going to make it throughout most of my bills. I wish that he would just drop the tariffs, period.
And this is just a 30-day pause, so we'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out. Those 10% tariffs on China imports, though, did go into effect at midnight. Live from the Detroit River, I'm Brittany Tulis for 7 News Detroit this morning.
Yeah, and now we'll have to wait to see when that 10% tariff begins to ripple through the economy. We know you'll be on top of it. Thank you so much, Brittany.